Photo Rusty Franklin. Associated Press. NFL players kneeling during the national anthem have generated much emotion, as shown here as Arizona Cardinals fans yell at San Francisco 49ers players kneeling before an NFL game. It's not about being disrespectful, players say, but about acknowledging the injustices perpetrated against Black Americans and other minorities. Less NFL players kneeling during the national anthem have generated much emotion, as shown here as Arizona Cardinals fans yell at San Francisco 49ers players kneeling before an NFL game. It's not about being more. Photo Rusty Franklin. Associated Press. Before reacting, listen to the athletes. Necessary, disrespectful, brave, shameful, patriotic, un-American, uncomfortable. Reaction to black athletes kneeling during the national anthem has been swift and sharp. Everyone has an opinion and is sure about it. As the discussion has swirled, and in many cases been trampled and co-opted, I've found it helpful to think about what the act of kneeling during the national anthem is not. It's not violent. It's not lewd. It's not in protest of the American flag or the national anthem, even though the latter was written by Francis Scott Key, a racist and slaveholder. It's not militant. It's not turning one's back to the flag or burning it. It's not in protest of President Donald J. Trump, even as he has dumped on black athletes. It was not meant to be disrespectful or unpatriotic, although many have come to view it that way. As San Francisco 49ers safety Eric Reid wrote in the New York Times, he and then 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick were troubled by violence and oppression against Black Americans and other minorities. They wanted to use their platforms to make a statement. We chose to kneel because it's a respectful gesture, he wrote. I remember thinking our posture was like a flag flown at half-mast to mark a tragedy. It is a provocative statement to kneel during the anthem, especially in football, a sport that is a metaphor for war and comes drenched in patriotism, but how else would black athletes capture America's attention? Or as a recent headline from the news satire site, The Onion, put it, I just wish NFL players could find a way to protest without starting a national dialogue. It's a witty bit of sarcasm, so, naturally, there is truth in it. This has been a persistent complaint from fans who just want sports to be an escape. I hope we can turn the volume down, turn the heat down, and let's get back to enjoying football and people not having to make political statements at the beginning of the games, former CIA Director David Petraeus recently said. It's a point somewhat bemoaned in The Atlantic. Donald Trump and the depressing politicization of everything, blared a recent headline. But these types of views come at the expense of reality. Kaepernick and Reid were taking knees in 2016, a political act before Trump was ever elected president. Trayvon Martin was killed in 2012. Michael Brown and Eric Garner were killed in 2014. Sandra Bland committed suicide in 2015 following her detention. Walter Scott was shot in 2015. It's an incomplete list, but you get the point. Besides, big-time athletics, especially basketball and football, are inherently political. The athletes are often black, and the ownership and the faces in the crowd are often white. You could choose to ignore this, but it's awfully hard to when black players are kneeling during the anthem. If that's uncomfortable, then so be it. But if we are willing to cheer for these athletes on the field, then why is it so hard to consider their lives off it? As Spurs coach Greg Popovich said, we still have no clue of what being born white means. It means, generally, higher incomes and lower poverty rates than minorities. It means having the luxury to boo or ignore players who kneel. It means freedom from persistent racism. The risk players are taking here is striking. Most NFL players are expendable. Their careers are short, and their contracts are often not guaranteed. Kaepernick, a talented quarterback, is out of a job. Detroit Lions player Akeem Spence said his father lost a contracting job after the player knelt. Fans are booing, and still the players kneel. NASCAR legend Richard Petty has said anyone who kneels during the anthem should be thrown out of the country. No doubt, many agree. But this has it backwards. In the words of the late musician Jon Stewart, the players kneeling are the country. Just as much as those who stand. Kneeling, standing, black, brown and white. Each is the country. All are the nation. We share this chapter and we will survive. Jay Brodesky at expressnews.net.